Hello. My name is Anna. Hello. My name is Anna Mantzaris, and I'm an animation director and an animator, and I work at Passion Animation Studios now. I'm going to show you a little bit how my work can look like, but I'm mainly going to talk about Enough, which is a short film that I made. So here's some of my previous work. But I'm here today to talk about this short film called Enough. It's a 2-minute film about what people actually want to do. And I made it my first year when I went to RCA, a Royal College of Art. And I'm just going to show you the film first, because it's only 2 minutes, and then I'm going to talk you through the process.
I kept the Mercedes. It's my weekend car.
So that was the film. Thank you. So when I started at the RCA, I had done another film before, which was a little bit successful, and I felt like, oh, I'm not going to do something new, and it's a bit scary. And also, I knew that when I was going into the second year, it's going to be much more pressure on the film that you make, and more people is going to see it, and more people are going to judge it. So I was thinking, okay, but now I'm doing the first year film, which is a much smaller project, so I can be more brave and take more risks and experiment more. And also, I wanted to try something different because I made another film before, so I just wanted to find like different approaches to ways of storytelling. So I just know I wanted to do something which is not a classic story, because I was like, yeah, if it doesn't work out, no one is going to see it, so it doesn't matter, really. And then I wanted to work with a feeling of someone getting enough, or someone like revolting in the mundane life, and I had a lot of smaller ideas, like someone quitting their job, their oppressing job in a very dramatic way, or like all these small things that you really wanted to do, but you really can't do. So I was playing around with these ideas, but I didn't really find one which I felt like, this is a short story. And then I talked with a friend who was like, but why don't you do all of them, like as different moments? And I really liked that idea. And I think also looking back, I was also a little bit inspired from moving to London and taking the public transport in rush hour, and I felt like there was a lot of like passive aggressiveness boiling underneath. So some of my inspiration starting off, like I really like the Swedish director Roy Andersson. His work is very sad and mundane, but also very funny, and his themes are a lot about like humanity, and he has really nice atmosphere, I think, is the two pictures to the left. And I know I wanted this to feel very mundane and gray and a bit sad, so like the people almost feels like a bit oppressed in the environments. And then I really like the work of the directing duo Mark and Emma. I really like how they work with texture, with felt, and their characters are very sympathetic, but also a little bit awkward. And I really like the Swedish filmmaker Nikki Lindroth von Bahr, but she also works with the mundane themes and like existential anxiety and boredom and these sort of themes that I like. So that's where I started, and then for this particular film I didn't have a script. I just started to brainstorm the situations and like find as many as possible that I could and just put them on post-it note on the wall and try to sort them, and I knew I didn't have time to make all of them, so of course I needed to like take away many of them, and some of them were too complex. I needed a crowd of puppets, which I didn't have time to make. Some of them didn't really fit the theme, some of them were a bit too similar to each other, and some of them were too like complex to explain in just a single shot. So I started to sort these out, so they were like fewer and fewer. And when I had like a bunch of them, I started to storyboard them straight away without a script, and I started to try to edit them together. But I was struggling a bit because I didn't want them to feel like just a sequence of images that just felt cut off, and it could have been going on for ages. So I wanted to, even though there was just like single moments, I wanted it to feel like an overall story, or like in the bigger picture there's like some sense of story to it. So I looked a bit up like story types, and there's many more complex ways of like working with story and structure and so on, but I just wanted to like take inspiration from the most simple way. So it was just like to start with a sympathy for the character and then go like more dramatic, and then in the end have something which feels like some sort of catharsis or something like that it's like ending off or it's giving you back something. So I just like took a little bit of inspiration from this like most basic way. So I tried to edit them so they were more soft ones first, and then they become like more and more dramatic, and then in the end it's like she's sort of giving up and laying down. And I also like edited every shot shorter and shorter, so there's like you could feel like there's a story curve throughout the film, even though it's just many shots after each other. So when I had them, I did a storyboard and I edited them in a timeline as an animatic, which you normally would do for animation, just to plan it out and so you know how long each shot is going to be. So when that was planned, I had to build everything, and I had like between 5 and 6 months for this project, which is really little if you work like mainly alone, if you don't have like a big team. So I knew I had to keep the style really, really simple in order to make it in time. Like I couldn't like do all these intricate, beautiful details. It has to be like a bit harsh, almost simple, but I think it works in favor of the film, because I think the main focus of the film was going to be like the characters and their emotions and the staging. So I built a lot of buildings which are reused and rearranged in different ways in the different shots, so it's actually the same buildings all the time, and the same with the cars. And also when you do the puppets for animation, you need to have like a wire armature on the inside so you can animate them. And because I didn't have time to make all the characters that I wanted to do in the film, I made 8 characters and then I reused them for different shots. So when I finished one shot, I cut off their hair, glue on new hair, switch clothes, put on some other clothes, and then I could use them for another scene. So from 8 puppets, I made like 24 characters. And it was, like I said, a little bit similar with the buildings as well that I reused them. And I made most of that by myself. I had a little bit of helping, and I was like cutting up the fabric and fitting them to the characters, and then giving them to my boyfriend who was doing the stitches, and I was doing the next one, and that's how we had to spend some Friday evenings. But and then once I built everything, you started to set up, and I worked with a cinematographer called Donna, and she you set the light to make it look like it's in an environment, and I wanted it to feel very mundane, but it still feel a bit atmospheric. And when you work with stop motion, it takes like so long time to animate, so you don't want to start to animating and accidentally knock something over. So you have to glue like everything with glue gun really hard, like every single little prop, everything, so you don't accidentally move it mid-shot. And yeah, here's another behind the scenes. And because when you make animation, you move the puppet a tiny bit, you take a still picture, you move the puppet a tiny bit, you take a still picture. And when you have 25 pictures, you have 1 second of animation. So in a normal day, you would do like 3 to 5 seconds, which is like 75 to 125 pictures. So you really want to know what you're doing before. You don't want to be like, oh, let's try this. So that's why you would like time the storyboard into an animatic. But also I really liked to do like reference videos, so you can decide beforehand, because I think a lot in this like was depending on having a good timing. So we did a lot of reference videos of me or other people that I forced to act for me, and there was a lot of funny behind-the-scenes videos for this film, but unfortunately I deleted most of them, so I'm not going to show them. But it really helped to watch them and observe like the acting and the timing. And yeah, then I basically animated it, and took 5 to 6 months. And after that, the film actually did like really well, much better than I expected, and it won over 30 international awards, and the Vimeo Best of the Year and some other awards. And also many people have written to me and be like, oh, I'm so happy to see this, I always wanted to do that, or like, I always wanted to slap someone on the bus. And so it's like many people who felt relieved to see it, so I'm happy to hear that. And I think I got some negative as well. Someone was angry because I showed how to kill a baby, but I don't really think I did that. But and after that, because it is, I think also it's very short format, so it really works to share online and you have time to see it rather than like 12-minute film. I also got some like job offers from that. So at the end of last year, I don't have time to show the film now, but it's online. But I did a work with Greenpeace France, which they wanted to do like an anti-pollution commercial, and they saw enough online and they really liked my style, so they just asked if we could do it together and we could use my style of puppets. So it was really fun, and it was really fun to work like for a good cause and borrow my style to that. So yeah, that was it. Thank you.